let's do that real quick. Let's make a knee controller. So go in the left hand view, excuse me, left viewport, and what are they under? They're under
Splines.
this guy. Text. You guys find that? Instead of this guy next to it, instead of creating boxes, whatever, this is your lines. Hit text, and you'll get this little guy down here. You're going to create that big thing. It happens every time. And then what you do is you edit the text right down here. And let's just do right cutting. All right. So that becomes right cutting. Oops. Of course, you want to scale that. I'm trying not to swear a lot because I swear a lot. What's that?
Just change the font size. Font size.
Yeah, you can change the font size. I just scale them down. Anyway. Whatever you're more comfortable with. I just love scaling. So there it is.
Now, you know, I got yelled at for that by Ted Gordon.
Well, you'll have to talk to Ted about that.
He said it would screw up all your animations.
I don't think so.
What?
All right. Then of course you just want to duplicate that, and that's probably wrong too. Eh?
Click in the thing.
And we'll just make that left. Actually, let's just do that. Bring those guys back here, and
Well, we're making doubles.
woo-hoo. We're gonna make. Is that my right? An elbow. How would I do that? Did I stick a knee out here? Oh, look at that knee. I didn't even notice I did that. And of course you can get rid of that if you want.
Give the character.
There, it's the great Knee. Alright. You know what? To be honest with you, if it does screw up animations, it's never happened to me. And it's just a controller. At this point, I just wanted to make my knee go the right way. If you guys get into animation that heavily, you'll learn some of these lessons too anyway. So. And like I said, I am not an animator by profession. I just do a lot of that on my own. I rig trees at work.
I rig trees. Are they eating trees?
The pine trees. I did pine trees. Okay. And then in this motion panel, you've got the right one, right leg. And then this one right here. It's a target. There you go. Now that becomes your knee control. You see that knee moving? Nice. That really is cool. And just associate the same. These IKs. That. You leave that open, it will stay open whenever you grab these. And now you have elbow control and knee control. You can see the elbow will move a little bit there. And you know, when you place these things, just place them about the width of your elbows and about the same height as the elbow. And the same with the knee, kind of right in front of the knee. About the same width apart. So, that's not bad. All right. Now, also at this point, you could do all kinds of other things. You can make one controller, which I do sometimes. Make it like a big controller that controls the whole character. Everything is associated with that. And what you can do is keyframe that. If you're doing, that depends. I did this thing where the character's jumping off and landing on a wall, and then jumping from that wall across the alley to another wall and hanging on the edge. So all I did was I just took that whole thing in a keyframe, just the major positions. It was just that character, and I put him here, and then I put him here. And those were my first keyframes. And then I did all that animation within the confines of that controller. Sometimes it's nice to put a nice box that represents the hip. You know, it's almost a must. I just like to use an arrow, and I run the arrow right here. That's probably what I'll do. Just put an arrow there so you know exactly where the hips are. You know, straight on there. And I do the same thing for the head. I always like to know exactly where that's pointed, so there's a big arrow sitting right there. It's kind of cool. So I am going to do that right now. I am going to. There's several things that you can use in this dummy area. This compass is kind of cool. You know, that gives you points that you can refer to. I mean, if you wanted to use that for your hips or something like that, you can make your own shapes or something, you know. I like to just make an arrow, which I do just simply by
So now, if you move your knee left or right.
Snapping?
This left or right.
This
It's not
left.
going to go up.
that's probably going to be my hip. You can use any object, use a box, whatever you want. Just put it in there. Actually, you should line that baby up first. Yeah. So it shares that access. And then we will want to do these. And of course, you don't want that to render, so you go into these properties here, and they're under-renderable, you unclick that. So you got an arrow there that represents the direction you're going to be going. And I do the same with the head, but I don't want to just get rolling here. So, and again, this is something you're going to have to feel out with your own rigs. You want these to move along with this. Sometimes it's nice to lock them down to something. Depends on the animation. If it's just short, I'll just take these guys and pull them out here, just so they're not in the way of some animations. Because if I go forward or something, if I don't have this locked in on something else and it's moving with the hips or something, your animations might pass through it and your elbow goes up and it's just going to focus. So you just pull them out of the way like that if you want. Those, like I said, you could link into a character controller or something. But for these purposes, we're going to just do a quick walk cycle. We're going to start off by doing simple leg movement here. Let's go to the left viewport. Now on this grids, for doing this stuff, you want this is another thing you want to be concerned with is you want a smaller grid, so you know you got some judgment of where you're putting your feet and stuff. So I always like to bring this down to let's do it. So there's 8 steps there. So you got enough boxes here where there's nice representation of where you're going. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize. Go back to perspective. Let's put a skin on this thing quick so we can see him moving around. And we'll see how good this rig is here. So select your mesh. It looks like I got 2 meshes going on here. Select your mesh. Okay. And your multiplier list here. We go down and we find skin right here. And you hit skin. Alright. All right, then you're going to hit add. It's such a small screen. All right, you see all those bones in there? That's everything that's on your screen right now. And you want to select nothing but the bone. So select all of those guys. And select them. Now they are an influence on this mesh now. Let's just do a quick test. Look at that, huh? Little solid body on it. See what kind of crashing we got going on. I bet this thing's pretty clean. Sure. Pretty damn clean for a drop-in bone system. This kind of character is real easy that way because it's forgiving. Even the shoulder looks pretty decent. Probably have a little trouble with the head. Yeah, let's try that head. Yeah, the head's influencing the neck a little bit, which is no problem. It's bone 10. So select that mesh again and go down to bone 10. Yep. Yeah. You want to hit edit envelope and hit bone 10. And you can see its influences down there a little ways. Shouldn't be that. That's because this bone is so big. But I wanted it to make sure I got all of these up here. So then real quickly, we're going to fix that by going to paint weights. You hit that. Maybe. Yeah. Make sure you uncheck that box and hold down the Alt key. Excuse me. Hold down the Alt key, which is minus, and just stroke across there with the brush and get rid of these guys. You're just painting out the influence of this bone. It's real simple. Max is great this way, man. It's real quick. And that's probably pretty good. Get that done. Click out of there. Click out of there. Click that bone again and see what happens. Look at that. It's clean. Exactly. That is plenty good for what we're doing here. Now we're ready to start this deal. I'm going to save out quick. Now. Everybody cool with that? All right. Go to left viewport here, and we're going to get this guy in his first step pose, and that's going to be our first. Now let's bring his hips down a little bit, give him some room, and we'll move. Doesn't matter whichever one you want to step out first with. Now look at your grid point. And let's see, his steps are probably going to be, I'm going to be modest here. We're just going to kind of stroll along. We're not going to run or anything. So I'm going to be moving this thing, I'll say just four grids. And you can snap these if you want, but personally I like a little definite, because then you can cut and paste these ends onto the other legs or something, but it's always nice when you're just doing a simple walk cycle is not make everything perfectly the same, because there's little subtleties, in a step that aren't the same from one to the other. Just kind of adds to it. So we're just going to drag that thing out about 4 grid squares.
Should we have auto key on?
We're not setting keyframes yet.
Okay.
So and then again, so we're going to take like an 8 grid step. So we're going to go back 4. Well, that's almost too far, but we're going to. Maybe it'll be a run. This is what it's like. What are you going to do? How far are you going to step? Let's do 3 in each direction. You can do a run if you want. Yeah, that's fine. That looks cool. Yeah, and now, I was just make sure we're on. All right. Select these guys and give it, don't auto key anything. You end up with like a million more keyframes than you need. And the whole idea behind setting up a walk cycle is keep the keyframes down to an absolute minimum. It makes it so much cleaner and so much easier to go back and tweak than instead of having all these frames keyframes all over the place and so tight together and things like that. So the farther apart you can get the keyframes, the better. It gives you more room to go back and tweak and add stuff later too. So it looks like I've got my time frames kind of screwed up here. I think I was messing around with some animals before on this file. I want my start time to be 0. And we're just going to do 100 frames. Oh. Doing 100 frames. All right, make sure you hit OK, and then that'll change this time frame down here. I should have had that set before, I apologize. So we just got a straight 100 frames. And that's perfect for, you know, a one walk cycle thing. And then after that, on the graph editor, so you just do one walk cycle, and on the graph editor, you can tell it to go continue that. And just keep looping that same thing. And it'll walk on forever. Walk on. All right, and I want to make sure I got keyframes on there. So set key, I never auto key because I said there's just too many frames that are keyed and it's just ridiculous. So there's your first little keyframe thing. Okay, let's go 25. And then what you're going to do, you know, sometimes it's kind of, if you want some representation in there, you know, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll have these little boxes or something. You can put them at your toe and your heel. Just so you're going to, because you're going to want to slide these back real quick and forth. Once you get the first couple steps, you're just going to copy them. But you know where to slide these things back and forth. So you're going to slide this one up where that one was. And you're going to keyframe it. And then you're going to slide this one back to where that one was. And you're going to keyframe it. And that's what you get. Alright. Now what you can do is select both those guys. And you can copy that. You know what I'm doing? And now you can take that one. And you copy that one up to 75. And then again you take this one. And you copy that out to 100. And that will be the same exact frame and set that you have on number 1. Now you can play that animation. And you get ice skates. Now if you're happy with that, pull those away. It's just nice for the reference, I think. Alright. Now, this stuff is just great fun, man. Once you get to this point and you just start making these things come alive, it's just, there's nothing like it. So, you know, right here, you can go, we're going to move this back and forth, so you go about halfway. Usually we're going to move this keyframe up a bit. Because when you step, you got to start really thinking about motion after motion and stuff. When you step, you're not right in the middle of your step. You're not going to be perfectly halfway between this step and that step. A lot of times, you're moving faster and you come down quicker when you go to the front. And you'll end up doing a lot of this stuff. You'll analyze your own body and start looking in the mirror and doing weird stuff and hope people will catch you doing it, whatever. But you're going to mimic your animation ellipses and you got to think about how this foot's going to go down, and where it's going to go down, and what speed it's going to go down, and what's happening with that foot. Does it actually fold way back or flop and stuff? And it's all about the character and how you want him to look. This guy's kind of goofy, so we're going to kind of exaggerate some things. So we're going to pick a point that's about halfway-ish. Like I said, we're going to slide it back and forth anyway, so we're just going to bring that foot up. And we're going to rotate that foot. And we can pass through the floor at this point because we're going to bring his toe. We're not going to worry about that right now. That's secondary action. All the stuff is, you work from your main action into like secondary action. You take care of the main movements first, and then you start doing the secondary stuff that really makes the thing flow. And then keyframe that guy right there. See? Nice step there. Now on this one, you're going to copy this guy again, but you're going to fly up here. You're not going to put it here. You're going to put it here because you step one, slide, step one, slide. So you're going to put that in about the same spot. Yep. So now you got your foot that's kind of lifting, kind of lifting, kind of lifting. And then you want to do the same with this other one. And it's all a matter of how much you want to get done in one keyframe. And how hard you want to work. If you want to copy these out, or if you want them to be different, if you want them to have a limp, maybe he steps once and then kind of has this funny little jitter or something, you can make them different, or you can do what I'm doing here, is kind of making them all the same, and then we'll tweak them out a little bit later to give them a little individuality. So we're going to do the same with this guy. We're going to move him up. We're going to rotate him, plunge it right now. It's kind of cool lifting his knees up that bar. He looks kind of dorky.
It's just the way the RPM is.
And then do the same there. And if you play this animation, it's going to start really looking like he's walking. Ding, ding, ding. Just love this part. And you're going to have to start looking at the character from different angles too, because your body moves back and forth a lot. It twists and turns a little bit on your walk, so from the front here it looks kind of stupid. He is stupid. But. So, I don't think we're going to worry about that so much until we get his little feet flopping. So, and again, you can put controllers, something else on here to select these things easier. When they do stuff, animate in Maya for games, they have a controller on every single bone. It's not just going in and selecting that bone and animating that bone, keyframing that bone. In this circumstance, we're just going to keyframe the bone, but you can put tools on every bone just to make it easier to select and stuff like that. Or if you want to have other constraints on it, if there's parts attached to it, get the parts of it. But we're just going to animate the bones right now, and that's fine. Back to left. Look at this guy. Yeah, I'm not gonna animate that one too much. I just want a little flop in that toe. We got clown feet, so we want to make them kind of clowny. So you want to keyframe that first one. And let's go ahead on 25. You want that foot to be straight just like that when you land on 25. So you're going to keyframe that, and now you've got this little void that you can do something in. But you know it's going to always return to that point when he steps. His foot's going to be flat. So right about, starts taking off the ground about like here. So right about there. Let's rotate that toe. About like that. Just so it's still touching right there. And keyframe that. There you go. Like that. Something like that. Change here. Now 75. And then again, let's just lock those down. Just make sure they were not going to be all over the place. And then again, you can copy that guy over. same thing. Foot 25. Lock that down. Lock that down. Again. Again. There. Just lock it down. Up there. Copy that over. Now you're starting to see a little bit of a fullness going on there. It's kind of shuffling his feet at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to get him off the ground a little bit farther. So the highest point of a walk is right about here. One leg is supposed to be kind of straight, and it's about the highest you're going to get in your balance step here. Let's bring this guy up as much as we can without snapping that guy right there. Just so that gives a nice natural little feel. Okay, that ain't bad. Now we're going to keyframe that guy. That's a little better height. And let's lock that down again at 25, 50, 75, and 100. So, and now we're going to go back to the high point again. Now this is where you can really start accenting things. You know, if he's going to flop down or if he's just going to just meander, but if he's flopping down, you want that highest point to be closer to the end of the step, so he flops down more on his foot. I want to go kind of right about there, just before that thing snaps. And now you're going to have a nice little rise and fall in the step. Now with the hip movement, this one you want to cut and paste on every step. This is the asymmetrical part of the body, and it moves everything. So now you got a nice little, oh, it's missed it. Of course, that's very subtle, and we can clean that up and make this move back a little bit, and this way and that way. Now I want to do something here because his feet are so wide apart, that doesn't look quite right. And I'm going to do something, actually I'm going to go out of animation mode. And I am just going to pull it in. Sometimes, if you really look at the way you step almost right into the middle of your body. Almost the center point of mass and straight down. You can be off to one side a little bit. This is a cartoon, so. But otherwise, you'd be flopping all over the place. That's going to look a lot better. Now he's crashing here a little bit. And that's easy to take care of. You just first go back in here. Bring it out. Keyframe that. His leg's going to just slide a little bit out and come back. Which is something that actually does happen. And on the same one here. That's the one I just did, right? Yeah, it is. And then we'll do the same with this guy. The leg will swing out just a little bit. And this is where you're rekeying. It's where it's nice where you got just these keyframes. You don't have a bunch that you got to mess with. Just drop right down on top of this thing, make an adjustment, and rekey it. The fewer keyframes at this point make your life a whole lot easier. Alright, that looks pretty good. Everybody got kind of something like that going on?
And you just keep screwing.
That's what they were playing.
do you have attached to your